Welcome, brothers. Welcome, sisters. Welcome to a program on target. Our brothers and sisters from the diaspora, CARICOM, anywhere, any part of the world, any part in Grenada that you have the opportunity to listen to us, welcome to our program. We always encourage you to share and like our program. We're on RealFM 91.9. We're on YouTube and Facebook. So you could find us there. And we encourage you to pass the word on to your neighbors, etc. We speak on any subject matter: politics, religion, socioeconomic issues, any issue, Russia, abortion, love, anything. We speak about that. We encourage you to pick up the telephone and punch. Don't waste time on preamble. And always address your most important point first. Because sometimes, by the time you're ready to speak to your most important point, your time is about running out. Always deal with the most important subject matter first, and then you could take another subject issues. So while we await your call, we always want to constantly remind our people that a child is a gift from God. A child is a gift from God. And I think it's important to tell people that. Some people have a child and they didn't plan to have the kid. Accidents. They have sex and they get pregnant. They didn't plan. But the child is a gift. Yes, caller, welcome. Yes, caller, welcome.
Okay, how are you?
Great, man. Good, man.
I have a question to ask you. I'd like to know, what is the main function of the Ministry of Housing and Social Development in any country?
Well, I suppose that housing and social development is geared towards helping the people who are unable to help themselves, helping the people in the lower income group, helping to raise the bar of the people. Most governments, or if not all governments who are associated with the United Nations, go and sign the United Nations Charter to improve the social conditions of the people. And basically man-made food, clothing, and shelter. So these governments go to the United Nations and they sign a charter to come back and have a financial obligation to develop the people. And one of the most important aspects of development is food, shelter, clothing, and shelter. Now, if you have discretionary income, if you have a good job, you're able to buy these things. But a lot of people in developing countries in particular do not have jobs. They are unemployed. And they are unable to provide some of the basic necessities for life. And governments have a responsibility to do that. If you're a big company, if you're rich, if you're intelligent, most likely you'll be competitive on the job market and have a job. And you will not need, there will be no need for the Ministry of Housing and Social Development to help you. But if you're in the income bracket, in the lower echelons of society, if you are considered as the proletariats, if your salary is way below $3,000 a month, if you are unemployed, if you are physically challenged, if you are disadvantaged children, then you would need government assistance. Yes, caller, welcome. Yes, caller, welcome. All right, we lost this scholar. So that was a very important question. Now that I try to answer it, I think it's very important. But if anybody have an answer that they think is more appropriate, if I did not do justice to the question asked, you're welcome to help me put that in perspective. Most of the governments in the Caribbean give their commitment. I remember pipe-borne water for all. The government went to the United Nations. The politicians opened their big mouth and they signed on documents that we will strive to have pipe-borne water for all. I don't know if it's by the year 2020. Many years ago they do that. And they're supposed to come back in the country and provide these things. Yes, caller, welcome. Yes, caller, welcome. All right, I'm having some technical problem. I guess you're trying to reach us and you're not successful. So just try again. So I always ask the question, and I constantly encourage to remind people that a child is a gift from God. The circumstances that you have your child under may be unacceptable, but the child is a gift from God. And you must do everything within your power to grow that child, to take care of that child. You see, that is important because there are millions of children that is aborted in the world today. Millions of children that is aborted in the world today. People abort children because the circumstances under which they have the child, they feel is unacceptable. Sometimes lack of support. Sometimes parents feel shame if their daughter pregnant. Sometimes the children are living in poverty and they believe, yes, caller, welcome.
Yeah, Mr. Pierre, it's me again. But what I'm finding out, in Grenada, they calling these people poor and needy, and some even call them greedy.
Yes, scholar, that is one of the heartbreaking, unacceptable realities in dealing with the National Democratic Congress. Every time the National Congress goes into power, they take a position that the people in the lower income group is in that group because they're lazy, they doesn't work hard, and the treatment of these people is very bad. Every time they do that. In 1990, the National Democratic Congress fired the workers on the estate, the poor agriculture workers. At that time, the union that represented these workers, the Grenada Maritime and Mental Workers Union, they themselves was very weak and was in trouble. The Grenada Trade Union Council was not very sympathetic to this group. And they was struggling to pay the TUC the money that they owed them. And when they did manage to pay the TUC, they pay a few hours late. So the TUC refused to let them participate in the TUC general meeting. Yes, caller, welcome.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Yes, my brother.
I really cannot speak on radio. I don't know why. But
You're doing well. I find you trying.
you find so.
Go right ahead.
Oh boy.
Just if you can speak, talk.
Mr. Pierre, it is sad to see where politics in Grenada is heading. Some organizations have to redirect, I think, the attitude of our regional government, especially in Grenada. For example, the WHO director our health system, WHO. And we have an organization called NAFTA. I think they control trade, and which Grenada is also a part of. And then we have NAGMA, control the weather too. CAFA, disaster, and the Lions Club, and whatever. The CDC control direct carnival, the CBI, the Citizen of Investment. Well, as you just said, the TUC regulate trade union. But I'm asking, who regulate politics?
We supposed to regulate the politicians.
Well, listen, I have a problem with that. Because everybody's doing what they want. Because you in government, you have the open law, how to make laws or so. But is any outside system looking into this matter if we go in contrary?
Well, they could have some level of influence because we're not operating in a vacuum. You have CARICOM, you have, but they would want to not to interfere in your internal affairs too much. So they will give you wide latitude before they speak.
Look at what happened on the foot with this killing. I mean, is anybody who are here to investigate? That's what I'm talking about. The IFU investigate money, and that's what I'm talking about as an example.
When you have internal matters in your country, you have the judiciary system, and if somebody have evidence, they can take it to court. So other countries in the Caribbean would do their utmost not to loudly interfere in your internal affairs. They might nudge you quietly. You have freedom of the press. So journalists, and you have trade unions and civil organizations, and all of them supposed to help to keep government in check.
I say this to see. For an example, Alum project was an NDC project, I think. I think it's subject to correction. And NNP probably is saying, well, it's NDC has to fix the sewage problem because a lot of years it left like that and they said they was going to do it, they never do it. I think because it was an NDC unfinished project. Now that's to my mind. To my mind, the Molyneux stoppage, Lord help us, the Sotes housing project, the Clabony Road project, totally perished. Redmond Bridge leading to the Bellevue Mountain Chapel Estate. Boy, the bridge is finished, The bridge is finished, but the road is abandoned and everything is just stand up. Could you believe River Road project is also in that limbo? You see, I think somebody have to say something. To me, it's a retaliation for Lockalum. Once it's an NNP project, I think to me, they deliberately hold up those projects. And if somebody don't come, somebody don't say nothing, we go end up in real problem here in Grenada, You see? Somebody have to say something. That's why I talk. Either United Nations or somebody have to come in because this thing go say just so. Because if the NNP come back in power, it's possible they go say, well, that's an NDC problem, so we got to hold it up. To me, this is how it is going. So, Mr. Pierre, I don't know if you want to comment on that, but see what they could do.
Yes, United Nations ain't coming. Nobody ain't coming. The challenges in Grenada have to be addressed by Grenadians. And we speak about any issues and we encourage people to call on the program and speak about any issues. We have limited time, so we only could provoke discussion, but we hold discussion on any issues. There is a number of check and balances in a country that the government may pay attention to. For instance, we are running with mouth on the radio, speaking the truth as much as possible, encouraging people to participate, and we hope, and making suggestions, and we hope that might encourage government to change their ways. But if you share our program, and you like our program, and you discuss the issue, it might have a greater impact on government. One have to understand that the National Democratic Congress policy is slightly different from the NNP policy. And whenever the NDC is in power, they tend to cold shoulder they tend to be hostile. They tend to be less sensitive to the needs of the people in the lower income group, the people in the lower echelons of society, the poorer people, the elderly people, the weaker people, the unemployed people. That is a serious difference with the NDC policy. Because they are aware that they have to disguise this policy, they tend to tell lies when they sell in the manifesto. For instance, in 1990, the NDC said people was concerned that they would dismantle the Imani program. They said, no, we would not dismantle the Imani program. We will raise the pay that these people getting to $1,000. We would not dismantle it, but we will raise the pay to $1,000. The NDC said, we don't satisfy with what you're giving the elderly. You're very wicked. You say you like the elderly. We're going to raise the pay to $400. They use an elderly man, parade him on television to advertise that. And that was a means to attract the elderly vote, to excite the Imanis, to say you're going to get $1,000. After the election, the NDC never raised the pay of the elderly. Instead, they fire half of the people on the program. They did not raise the pay of the Imani. They dismantled the Imani program. They formed a new program. I can't remember the name, with a lot of name in it, a big name. And they fire half of the Imani in it. Now in 2022, people remind them of that. They say this is a new NDC. None of the old stock is there. We knew. They apologized for what was done to the Imani. They say it was not politically correct. But they said this time, we will make you permanent. As soon as we come in power, we will make you permanent. So they promised them that. They didn't promise them to raise their pay this time. They said we're going to make you permanent. We're going to make you permanent so you could go in the bank. You could get a loan. You could buy land. You could build a house. The previous government claimed they like you, but they're taking advantage on you. They excited the Imani again. And Imani started jumping up for them. They said to the old people, we're going to raise your pay to $650. They quote the World Bank. The World Bank. Statistics from the World Bank. And they claim the government, previous government, words to the effect, wicked, not to raise your pay to that. And they excited these elderly people again. And when they come in power, they remove $150 from these people. You see, the NDC policy has always been hostile to people in the lower income group, to old people, to physically challenged people, even disadvantaged children did not get away from the wrath of the NDC. There was absolutely no financial justification for the action of the NDC, but it is just their policy. They have an appetite of trying to disadvantage people. The NDC mouthpiece always use the most dismissive and insulting language to describe people in this group. Needy and greedy, nasty people, classless. Imagine mouthpieces of the National Democratic Congress identifying villages in Grenada and calling them classless. It is heartbreaking. But that is the National Democratic Congress. I constantly say to people, you must study the policy of governments, and you must look at the history, the pattern. They say a leopard doesn't change its spots. So you have to go back and look at the history. This group of the National Democratic Congress is a very heartless bunch. But don't believe that there's a lot of people in the country that benefits from a government like NDC. Because they take money from the poor and give it to people who are in a better position. The first thing they did was to provide an amnesty for taxpayers. So a lot of the companies and some of the bigger, richer people, even if they don't support NDC, they would not mind every now and then NDC come in power, because they're going to get a big break in tax. Even if they don't support NDC, but they don't mind every now and then NDC come in power, because they're going to get a relief, they're going to get an amnesty from tax. The previous government was very conservative in traveling, because they claim, no, we have to concern about the poor people. So we're going to cut down on our traveling. We're going to use technology. And if we cannot get anything meaningful from the traveling, we're going to take the meeting on Zoom. Or let the people pay for the traveling. Let traveling be minimal. This group rewards, they reward the people by giving them trips away. Even your spouse, even your boyfriend, even your girlfriend could get a trip away when you have an NDC government in power. Yes, caller, welcome.
Yeah, Mr. Pierre, how are you?
Great, man.
Mr. Pierre, the NDC, they have an aim. And the aim they have, all the project they hold up there, they have an aim. When election near, they go start this project, and a lot of people will work and they won't get paid before the election. So that's the aim they have. They don't have no other project to start, but the money they made there, they hold up them project, and when election near, they go start the project to see if they go get some vote to come back in power to make people see more trouble than what they see already. Thank you, sir.
That doesn't make sense. That don't make economic sense. That is not a good policy. It's difficult to understand why the National Democratic Congress is like a recurring decimal. Every time they come in power, they do the same thing and they end up with the same result. In 2008, 2013, the NDC set up a committee to investigate corruption in Grenada. One of the person's names I remember on the committee was Lloyd Noel. And they brought in a forensic expert to search for corruption. If you remember the member's name on the committee, please call me and tell me. And if you remember who was the forensic expert, please tell me. They said between a month, Scotland Yard and FBI would be in Grenada. Yes, caller, welcome.
Yes, Mr. Pierre, good afternoon.
Yes, caller.
Mr. Pierre, I got a doctor last week, Tuesday. Wednesday morning, I called because I have to do an x-ray. I called the hospital last week, Wednesday. When I called, they tell me the X-ray is not working. Yesterday morning, I call again. They tell me the X-ray is not working in the general hospital. You know? Well, how you cannot maintain what you have and you're looking for a new one? You can't maintain the old one. How are you looking for a new one? Question. What is the meaning of that? You want smart hospital. What you go put in the smart hospital when you have the old one and you can't maintain the old one? What is the reason? I don't understand. So if I have to dead to do an X-ray for me to survive, I'm dead. So this question, and then people have to ask why, how, when. That's the thing, and then we have to think, when only here we there on Facebook, on the cutting man throat. We have to stop that. How we go forward in life? I just to understand some of us in this little Grenada here. Mr. Pierre, have a blessing.
A lot of the private clinics do X-rays. And when you have a system like ours, a lot of private clinics benefit a lot. Don't expect them to object on the health system, because the private clinics are making a killing. And when government likes big project, the National Democratic Congress like big project because they're going to make a good money from it. When the National Democratic Congress had that project to cut down Belvedere nutmeg and plant banana in Grenada, nobody understood why. But the mind was bent on it, and they did it. Obviously, the project came to naught. But I think they borrowed about 25 million for the project. The NDC like big project. I don't think they care much about the impact. Because if you want to improve the health system, primary health care is a very important factor. And the government would have made available medical doctors, nurses, and more expert available to people. So the aim may be at 10%. And I always encourage callers to Google Mr. 10%. You might end up in Pakistan, Trinidad, or Grenada. Google Mr. 10%. So I don't think they're concerned about improving the health system. They may be more preoccupied with big projects where they could benefit from immensely. And remember, the National Democratic Congress always hostile to people in the lower income group. So your cries are not heard by them. And people who have discretionary income could always pay private clinics. So the NDC is not very sensitive to you who must use government facilities. You know, this is some of the challenges we have in society. And if we don't know that, the NDC wouldn't change. You must speak about it. You must prepare to hold discussion with members of the NDC. You must prepare to hold discussion with them and advance your arguments and listen to their arguments. Otherwise, you will not be able to convince them that they have a financial obligation based upon what they sign in the United Nations to provide housing, food, and shelter for the majority of the people. And some of the people would not have the money to do it. And the government is expected to provide that facilities. This is why I hailed the previous government program of 10,000 toilets. I think the objective was to make certain in the long run that every Grenadian have toilet facilities inside their house, irrespective how poor you are, irrespective even if you are destitute. That would help to raise the dignity of people and could seriously contribute to the downward climb in social problems and crime. But the National Democratic Congress don't believe that. They say when you build toilet for these people, you're making them lazy. You're giving them handout. Government spend about perhaps $1 million. I don't know the exact fee. It could be $500,000 to $1 million to train a medical doctor to reach export. Government spend over $500,000 to $1 million to train a medical doctor that one would consider as experienced. And some of these individuals jump the plane as soon as they have the training. The National Democratic Congress don't see that as a handout. The manner in which they encourage the members to fly all over the world, and some of them bring their spouse with them, they don't see that as a handout. The fact that some members of the government can go in the GDB bank and get loans, they don't see that as a handout. All the committees they establish and advisory leads, they had about 11 to 12 persons advising in agriculture. They pay these people, you know. They don't see that as handout. But if you build toilet for the poorer people, they say that is a handout. The $450 that was given to the elderly, they say that is a handout. The $75 contribution that was given to disadvantaged children to help them pay bus in school, the NDC said that is a handout. But the money they pay in tuition, for those who could pay, they have discretionary income. They're not broken. And they didn't even ask you to pay for the children. They don't see that as a handout. And remember, this is a democracy. So you have to know where you put in your eggs. Yes, caller, welcome.
Yes, Mr. Pierre, evening.
Yes, caller, welcome.
If business people are happy, or thought they would have been happier by putting the NDC into office in this country, even if they get tax concession, here's the anomaly, here's the contradiction. They are not making as much as they used to a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. That's a fact. So here comes the downside automatically. For example, this morning on another calling program, a lady who does business in town, and I know her very well, she's a very strong NDC, she's on the radio all the time, for years now, criticizing Kit Mitchell, criticizing the NNP, for years and years and years. I even spoke to her one time about the whole issue. Even encouraging her to call when radio announcers don't want her to call on the radio station, because she used to say the most negative thing, obnoxious thing. I said, well, continue calling her. You have things to say. What you need to do is modify her language. But the thing is that she continued to call. Although she has stopped to quite an extent, or she's deceased to quite an extent. Now that the NDC is back in power, I'm telling you, every day that lady on the radio, every single day, she's on the radio. This morning she called on a program, and she advise or she give notice to her clients. There's a shop in town, like I tell you, She give notice to her clients that she would be closing down 2 days a week. She would be shorting 2 days a week in her business. And here the excuse she used because of the heat, because she does her kitchen work, she do food and so on to supply the people. Mr. Pierre, my strongest suspicion, with good reason, tells me that it's not because of the heat, the heat that we have in nowadays, that she is claiming that's why she's doing 2 days short. Business is bad, Mr. Pierre. That's a fact. Business is bad. So, okay, you buy a wholesale of produce, come to the shop with it, business is not booming, you will have a lot of losses. And I think that's what's been happening with her more than anything else. But she come with that excuse saying that the heat nowadays is cutting down 2 days of the week. And the business people who thought they would have gotten a whole set of benefits or whatever as a result of NEC coming into power, they are feeling it. I know a guy, one of the strongest NEC. He drives a truck on the porting. That guy used to get so much work that he could call a friend to give a work. Nowadays, porting, Mr. Pierre. The guy turned a beggar, you might say. Simple and easy. That's the kind of situation we have in Grenada. That people not stop fooling themselves with that kind of nonsense. That business people are profiting or would profit as a result of what is going on there. It's not a case. That's just not the case. Simple. Take care, sir.
Yes, scholar. You see, I always say to individuals, in the worst of situation, there is a lot of opportunities. In the worst of situation, there is a lot of opportunities. And sometimes people have to look inward a little and examine themselves, particularly people with young children. The present situation in Grenada is supposed to open your eyes. If your children is not competitive on the job market, it is a serious challenge for them. The children who are competitive on the job market, irrespective of the economic situation, they will be able to survive. This government have a policy of restorative justice. This is basically victimization and political vengeance. But if your child is competitive on the job market, if they lose one job, they will get the next one. If the National Democratic Congress fires them from the job, they will get the next one. If they believe there is undue political pressure, they will just retire and get the next job. But if your child is not competitive, then crapo smoky pipe. We could use this present situation with a government that is entrenching political victimization and vengeance in the workplace, and understand that we have to prepare our children to be more competitive on the job market. Sometimes you hear people are complaining they didn't prepare the pitch good. If you have fast bowlers, you must prepare the pitch for fast bowling. And if you main bowling in spin bowlers, you must prepare the pitch for spin bowlers. In the same way, you must prepare the pitch for your child. And perhaps we should start to ask ourselves, how do we prepare the pitch for our children? How do we help our children to be more competitive on the job market? And maybe the first word you would see is education. But it's not just a matter of sending your children to school. Because in the school itself, it's like a sieve. It's like a sifter. The school is like a strainer. they could prevent your child from getting a good education. I say that all the time. 70% of the children that exit school find it extremely difficult to be competitive on the job market. If you ask the statistician and some of our social scientists, they will tell you that 60% of the people that are looking for jobs in the Caribbean do not have the skills, the talents, or the right attitude for the job. 60%. My statistics tell me 70%. But I won't challenge them because I'm just an ordinary rustic, so they wouldn't take me seriously. So you could even work with the 60%. So you have to do all you could do to make certain that gift you have from God is better prepared for the job market. When your child go to school, you have to make certain your child have a good education. The government of the day remove the money from the children in the lower economic strata. The children whose parents was getting assistance from government, the government removed the money from them. The government of the day fired some of the parents. Over 3,000 people lost their job. And that is including the 30 that was fired from Grand Bay Estate. So just imagine, they remove money from the elderly who depends on government for assistance. They fired over 3,000 workers in the lower income group. And they removed money from school children that government was assisting. Yes, caller, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, my brother.
I listened to Mr. Cornwell make a statement the other day. Mr. Cornwell, he is the Minister of Finance. And the blunders that they make when they came in to give in the tax break, they're going behind the people as soon as they read the budget for next year now, with the taxes. They have to pay up the taxes. So you know the blunders. And he ain't have already. He probably practicing what to say already. He can't speak for 2 hours without a book. But all of that is lies. People that know better know that is lies. They can't fool people like me. They could fool dumb syndrome children. Dumb syndrome. Not even kindergarten.
Yeah.
Hello? All right.
You see, caller, the government, when they gave a tax break, and anybody who have to pay tax going to welcome tax break. Nobody like to pay tax. That is why Jesus Christ had to tell his disciples, give unto Caesar what is due to Caesar. Yes, caller, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr.
Yes, my brother, welcome.
I hear you touching some statistics there.
Yeah.
Some of it is encouraging to me. Now, one, the Minister of Agriculture told us that when they came into power, they had 11 vacants that was not filled in the Ministry of Agriculture. So that is high for our reasonable jobs, I would believe. And he have not told us yet it is still that 11 position. And I thought by now they should have been boasting that you fill 11 position because you have the cash to pay. And he was saying that was hindering the work of the Ministry of Agriculture. 11 persons. And we ain't hearing nothing about that. The agricultural program can't get going yet. So we don't know if it's lack of what. But you had 11 positions to be filled. He said that the other government failed to fill them, which means that budget was there for the salaries for these vacants, but nothing was done. A gentleman said to you just now about the projects, the thing that the government is allowing the projects to fail for close to the election and whatnot. I cannot remember of any project that this present administration start since they came into office. I know they continue with programs that the NMP have, like the River Road project, the thing over the hospital there where they're doing for the where the police headquarters was, the same project in Sotes, Redmond up there. All these projects and all the schools that was finishing repair and whatnot, all these are projects that the NDC met there with funding. So I don't know of any. They may have projects in Carriacou, because I heard the Minister for Carriacou say that they build a new fish market somewhere in Carriacou. So that could be a project of their own. But I cannot know. I don't know if you could help me. I don't know of any project that the NDC has started since they came in power. They said that they do toilet and bathroom, what they call it, what, the wash. NMP had this project going. So can you help me with any of the projects or any project that this new administration has started? The Marlene project is an ongoing project and they stop it. They say that the drawing was not properly done and whatnot. But the same Mr. Andy told us that that project would have started back in 2 weeks' time, 3 weeks' time. And that is over 2 months now. And he's saying now that they have new drawings and they're coming up with a new idea and the new piling, they will be piling it, the road will not go on the surface, it again is going up and pile and whatnot.
I know of no new projects that they have.
Right.
And it's sad and it's unfortunate because after 10 years in the wilderness, your government's supposed to come out with a bang.
Right.
You had enough time while you was in the wilderness to sit down and think and come up with a bang.
So
it's unfortunate and sad.
Thank you. I will hope that the people that boast and say all the things about them, they're living good and things now. Yes, the government have made changes in certain things. They pay back pay, they give the industries an extra package. And I have no problem with that. I have absolutely no problem with nurses getting what is desired.
But one of the biggest problems with the National Democratic Congress is the hostility to people in the lower income group, you know. That is one of the biggest problems. Otherwise, they have not done anything against the people in the higher income group, except maybe try to sideline 1 or 2 public officers who are protected by the system.
Right.
But the NDC regular historical hostility is the people in the low income group.
Well, I tend to support you 100% because if you're going to send home 3 persons from Carriacou and the Prime Minister say it's just 3 persons and if they don't like it, they could go to court.
The Prime Minister knows.
I think that's one of the most ungrateful words to use.
Wretched might be a better word
for you to fire
it's a wretched and bad-minded attitude.
And you're telling the news reporter that you're not even concerned.
You see
about finding out why these 3 people are.
You see, he knows that these people, based upon their income, they wouldn't able to pay lawyers.
Yeah.
Unless the union champion the cause, these people can't pay lawyer $5,000-$10,000 to fight the case.
But if you look at it, as you talk about the unions are playing a kind of seesaw game.
Well, the unions
when they reach there, they bring back it on that side. When you reach on that side, they bring it back on that side.
Caller, you didn't this country long, you know. Huh? Remember the unions, the only union that was sympathetic to people in the lower income group was the Grenada Maritime and Mental Workers Union.
Yeah, and
the union was part of the committee at 22 fighting independence.
Exactly.
The union leader was asking to fire NNP workers in the ministry.
And that ain't getting anywhere. And lastly, let me see. I saw Mr. Terry, not Terry, no, what's this gentleman named Dr. Terence Marisho, I think is his name. Marisho, Dr. Marisho, speaking to
A journalist.
yeah, journalist, Kalista, and rating the revolution so much, and he's saying things as he's glad now that they recognize the revolution government and whatnot. I am saying that one of the worst things that ever happened to Grenada was the revolution. I agree that the revolution has brought some change.
When Monkey write his story, Monkey always right.
Yeah, I
so
agree.
you expect Dr. Marisho to hail the revolution?
Well,
but
the
not
revolution.
Dr. Marisho was not one of the
and
3,000 people in jail?
Yes, they did. Yes, they did some good. But the revolution should never be promoted. And I don't intend to promote the revolution, but I will promote what was done that was good. Right. You kill people. The same people the same people that killed Maurice Bishop and them was the same people that make the revolution, you know. Not foreigners that killed Maurice Bishop and them, you know. The same people that make the revolution, they started killing from that day. And they're pretending now that it's the next set of people that killed Maurice Bishop. Code was the same. Code and Maurice Bishop was the same thing. So the set that killed Maurice Bishop is the same set.
Yes, Carlo.
Thank you very much.
Yes, the revolution jailed 3,000 people. They put them in prison without charge, without trial, and without an opportunity to defend themselves. I don't know how any right-thinking democratic Grenadian could accept that. 3,000 to 4,000 Grenadians flee the country. Maurice Bishop told his security to go and spread a rumor that Cole and his wife want to kill him. The security tell him, go and tell the cook. Tell Leslie in St. David's. Yes, caller, welcome. Yes, caller, welcome. Tell Leslie in St. David and somebody else, I forgot the name. The security told Maurice Bishop cook, and the security went in Butler House and report the matter. Yes, caller, welcome.
Good afternoon. Yeah.
Go right ahead.
Sir Pierre, you talk more fine. Sir Pierre, the people that is going to fire keep me tell. They fire all the NFP people, they fire them. We're talking about the fire people. People must be changed when there is a necessary wanted. You can't tell me that the NDP come in and they win the election and they can't change nobody. They're in group. You group them there. The big Grenadian people fire Kit Mitchell. They fire everybody. And they fire all of them. Who is them people? Who is them people that the NDC can fire? It's here. This October 19th, that will be the greatest thing ever happened to Grenada. And I hope all Grenadians support it. Because I will never support the 25th as a holiday in Grenada. You know why? Grenadians too stupid to let Americans come here.
Caller. You mustn't say Grenadian stupid. I've heard this word regularly. Say some people in Grenada are stupid. But don't say Grenadian stupid. You know, it's not fair. We do that all the time, and the NDC is a catalyst for these things. Calling people stupid, nasty, classless. There might be some people in Grenada who say stupid, but don't say Grenadian stupid. Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre.
Yeah, go right ahead, my brother.
This guy don't know what he's saying. Kit Michel didn't lose his seat, so how that Grenadian people fire him? That man had won his seat. He don't know what he's saying, and not all the NM people that lost their seat.
Well, obviously.
So Grenadian people, he don't know what he's saying. The Grenadian people never had fire Kit Michel. They still want this man there. So I don't understand what he's saying. Do you think Mr. Nazimbok and Tilman Thomas, they were seen in one eye? They don't love one another. Because of the hate Mitchell, they put Nazim, they put Tillman in the front to win the election. But all the ministers are sitting together, even the present Prime Minister now. You think he and Nazim Bok and them seen eye to eye? No. It's just because the hatred of Kit Mitchell, these people sitting together. That's why the party cannot continue doing the good things.
Yes, caller.
You understand?
Thank you very much. We almost to the end of the day. Yes, caller. Thank you. Thank you, caller. We come to the end of the day, and we constantly people respond about Maurice Bishop, and if we're going to deal with it, we must deal with the history. Maurice Bishop told lies to the, I don't know if it's the Politburo they call it. You have the Central Committee and you have the wider committee meeting, and they accuse Maurice Bishop of spreading rumor. And Maurice Bishop said that is not true. And Maurice Bishop's security get up and tell him, you lie. You told me to go and spread rumor. I told the cook and I come and report it in Butler House. And when the Central Committee met and they had to vote, Maurice Bishop abstained. I always see Maurice Bishop as a coward. Maurice Bishop hid behind women and children. No hero does that. No soldier does that. If the boat is sinking, the captain have to make certain that he protect women and children. If the captain take a lifeboat and go, he will be considered as a coward and he will be tried in the court. Maurice Bishop hid behind women and children. Every time he had a demonstration, he went to the schoolhouse and cloaked himself with the children. So Gary wouldn't throw tear gas on them. They wouldn't attack them. Every time, he was a coward. And we come to the end of the program, and we're back with you again next week when you have the opportunity to make your contributions and punch. Thank you.